It finally happened. Parliament didn't wobble. It detonated. The speaker's gavel slammed so hard it sounded like a gunshot, but the green benches roared straight through it. MPs pounding desks, ministers shouting over each other, a wall of sound, "Resign, resign," until the cameras caught the unthinkable, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom being ordered out of the House of Commons under Standing Order 43, the parliamentary nuclear button almost nobody outside Westminster knew existed until today. Outside, thousands were already packed into the streets around Westminster. Flags, flares, handmade signs. No more lies. You betrayed Britain. The chant was relentless. Title: STARmer out. Inside, the chamber looked less like a legislature and more like a battlefield of suits. What triggered it? One name, one accusation, one moment when the mask of control finally slipped. This was supposed to be routine, a dry debate on accountability and government conduct. But the air in the Commons felt charged, as if the room itself knew. Journalists in the gallery leaned forward. Private secretaries stared at their phones. Front benchers whispered without blinking. And then Nigel Farage stood. He didn't bark. He didn't grandstand. He spoke like a surgeon, slow, precise, cutting. Mr. Speaker, the British people were promised transparency. They were promised sovereignty. Instead, they were given deception. Secret discussions about re-entering EU migration schemes, while this government told the public the opposite. A ripple of gasps, a few forced laughs, then silence. Farage lifted the papers, thick, stamped, official. The camera zoomed, the chamber tilted. We have proof that this administration prepared to reintroduce quotas, allocated funds, and kept Parliament in the dark. Millions spent behind closed doors, no scrutiny, no consent. The opposition benches erupted. Nonsense! Lies! Withdraw! But it didn't matter. The story was out in the oxygen of the room. Every eye turned to the government front bench, to STARmer, jaw clenched, fingers white around a sheaf of notes. The speaker called for order. It didn't come. Then Farage went for the heart. So I asked the Prime Minister directly, did these talks happen? Will you deny it to this House and to the country? Every camera in Britain pivoted to the same point, the dispatch box. This was the moment to steady, to own, to control. Instead, something broke. STARmer slammed his notes so hard the microphones jumped. He stood, leaned across the divide, and pointed. You're a liar, he shouted, voice ragged. You've built your career on division and hate. You are the last person to lecture anyone on integrity. The room gasped as if someone had opened a window in a storm. Veteran MPs froze. Ministers shifted in their seats with the panic of people realizing they were now in the wrong scene, the wrong film, the wrong history. The speaker rose. Order! The Prime Minister will control himself. But the words bounced off brick. STARmer jabbed his finger again. You poisoned this country with Brexit lies, and now you dare call me a traitor? You disgust me. The benches detonated. Tories jeered. Reform UK MPs laughed without smiling. Labour faces turned to stone. The speaker banged the gavel again and again. Order, until the bang became a signal, not a request. Standing Order 43. The chamber stilled. You could feel the oxygen leave. Few outside Westminster know what that really means. It is the chair's absolute authority, the power to remove any member, even the Prime Minister, who refuses the rules that keep the House from tearing itself apart. The Prime Minister will withdraw from the chamber immediately, the speaker said, voice like a locked door. STARmer blinked once, twice. You can't be serious, he muttered, but there was no conviction left in it. The speaker's face did not move. Two sergeant-at-arms officials stepped forward, soft-footed and inevitable. For a split second, STARmer just stood, a man suspended between refusal and reality. Then his shoulders fell a fraction. The officers did not grab him. They escorted him, and Britain watched its leader disappear through the tall double doors like a defendant leaving the dock. Pandemonium, shouts, desk thumps. The old green chamber howled like a stadium. For the first time in living memory, a prime minister had been ejected under the speaker's ultimate sanction. The clip hit social media before STARmer reached the corridor. Within minutes, # Standing Order 43, #PM thrown out, STARmer meltdown, #1 worldwide. Outside, the crowd felt the shock before the news presenters finished the sentence. The chant flipped from steady to savage. Resign! Resign! Helicopters thudded overhead. Police thickened the line on Parliament Street. Live streams multiplied. Phones held high, breath visible in the late London air. On the Commons floor, Farage didn't smile. He didn't need to. He simply set the papers down, folded his hands, and said into the microphones, "This is not about anger. It's about accountability." The image was devastating. Composure against collapse. It would be the split frame of the day, the week, the era. Newsrooms scrambled. BBC played the ejection raw, uncut, twice, as if the second showing might make it make sense. Sky called it historic. American networks ran Parliament and chaos banners and rolled the clip until it imprinted. Commentators reached for comparisons and found none. This wasn't a scandal. Scandals are managerial problems. This was a legitimacy event. By nightfall, the pavement outside Downing Street was a sea of bodies. Not a partisan rally, a coalition of the fed up. Lifelong Labour voters standing shoulder to shoulder with reform supporters and quiet conservatives who had left their anger at home for years until tonight. Handwritten placards on the backs of gas bills and mortgage letters. You promised control, you delivered chaos. Side Labour HQ, panic and fluorescent light. Emergency meetings stacked on emergency meetings. Pollsters calling with numbers that bled. A 15-point overnight drop in approval. Trust down by more than trust ever falls in 24 hours. Focus groups using words no strategist can fix. Unhinged, embarrassing, unfit. A party famous for discipline reduced to leaks and sidelong glances. The WhatsApp groups. Read like lifeboat manifests. Advisors begged for contrition. Apologize, reset, own the room before the room owns you. He refused. He blamed provocation. He said he'd defended values against extremism. The country shrugged. A leader who can't control himself, the logic went, can't control anything. Farage moved like he had trained for this day. A press conference at twilight outside Parliament. Flags behind him, not too many. Cameras in front, too many to count. What we witnessed, he said softly, wasn't leadership. It was a breakdown. When power can't face scrutiny, it lashes out. 50 million views by morning. Small donors crashed his site. His party's membership graph looked like a vertical takeoff. The papers were merciless. Star shamed, Telegraph. A moment of madness, Guardian, thrown out, Mail. Even Labour-friendly voices ran out of synonyms for catastrophe. That late-night shows played the clip with the jokes already written by the footage. The laugh was hollow. The feeling wasn't unease. Because beneath the memes and the ratings was something colder. The sense that the system had slipped. That the place built to turn shouting into governing had failed to convert. In the North, Labour callers told local radio they felt betrayed. In the South, swing voters said they felt tricked. In the Midlands, small business owners said they felt done. By dawn, petitions demanding resignation had crossed 2 million signatures. Inside the Parliamentary Labour Party, a new vocabulary took over. Letters, mechanism, caretaker, timing. Names whispered like passwords. Reeves, Rayner, Cooper, Streeting. Each floated, each dangerous. To move too soon was opportunism. To move too late was suicide. Downing Street's black door stayed closed. For 48 hours, STARmer vanished. No doorstep. No pooled cameras. No radio voice notes. The silence metastasized. Every empty hour was colonized by his enemies. Farage did 6 broadcast rounds in a day and never raised his voice. Conservatives moved to table a no-confidence motion. A prime minister who cannot command respect in Parliament, Rishi Sunak said, cannot command this country. Inside number 10, the air was electric and airless. Staff described a leader pacing, scanning crisis decks, snapping at phones that wouldn't stop. Each call was worse than the last. A donor cooling, a minister wavering, a constituency chair sending through local polling that could end careers on its own. The machine that got him here had become a grinder. By evening, Westminster felt like a pot hitting boil. Whitehall corridors pulsed. The queue for live positions outside the Palace of Westminster stretched past the statue lines. The chants around Parliament Square grew hoarse and louder at once. Resign! Resign! The blue lights reflected in the black windows of ministerial cars. Here's what made it fatal. Not the anger, but the contrast. On one side, a prime minister red-faced, shouting, ejected. On the other, an opponent measured, prepared, still. Politics is performance. Today, one actor forgot his lines and the other didn't blink. What happens next? Three brutally simple possibilities. 1. The apology that tries to turn the page. STARmer goes to camera. No spin, no documents, no blame. I lost my temper. I was wrong. The house comes first. Here are the facts. Stops the bleeding with those who wanted to be persuaded. It doesn't rebuild the ship, but it patches the hull. 2. The party removes him before the public does. Letters go in. A caretaker steps up. Continuity without the chaos. The bet. Voters dislike the party less than they dislike the man. The risk. The public decides the rot is wider and punishes everyone wearing the color red. 3. He digs in and the country digs out. No apology, no step aside. The protests grow, the markets flinch. The Commons turns each session into a ritual humiliation. A confidence vote becomes not a question, but a date. Strip the drama away and it's simpler. The authority of a prime minister isn't a job title. It's a permission slip signed daily by Parliament and the public. Today, both started reaching for a pen of a different kind. And this matters beyond the clip. Because when a leader is thrown out of the chamber, the country gets thrown out of its certainty. Allies wonder if you can keep your promises. Markets ask if you can keep your temper. Friends ask if you can keep your job long enough to return their calls. Tonight, the crowds outside Downing Street are still there. The flags are colder. The voices are rougher. But nobody's gone home because nobody believes this is over. Inside, the lights stay on behind the black door. Inside, one life is getting very small, very fast. If STARmer speaks, really speaks, he has one last card. Truth without theater. Not the lawyer's paragraph, the human sentence. The one voters hear and decide, all right, we'll give you one more day. Without that, days don't come. If Parliament believes in itself, it has to act like it. Law first, party second, country always. It's the old motto, but mottos are promises you make to the future. Today, the future called in a debt. And you, watching this on a phone held upright, audio low, eyes wide, remember what you saw. Not a gaffe, not a meme. A moment when the gears of a nation ground metal on live TV. We don't get many of those. When we do, they redraw the map. This is Westminster after the explosion. This is politics without the safety catch. This is the week Britain learned what Standing Order 43 feels like. Subscribe, share, and tell me below. Is this a man having a bad day or a government reaching its last one? Because the next clip the country watches might not be an ejection. It might be a resignation.